Welcome to the ISD PTSA Special Education Committee. This is our fifth webinar in our series, and I'm happy again to welcome Dr. Dana Bailey, the Executive Director of ISD Special Services. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you very much for having me back.
My name is Betsy Grant. I am the chair of the Special Education Committee for the ISD PTSA Council. And what we are doing is this is just a short series of webinars, and we answer 3 to 4 questions regarding ISD special services. We are always striving to provide ISD families with special education students a resource for answers to common questions. So if you have questions for future webinars, please send your questions via email to special-education@issaquahptsa.org. And you can always join our Facebook group by searching Issaquah Special Education PTSA Committee. So jumping right in, I want to start with a follow-up question from our last webinar. We discussed that families were having a hard time getting access to in-person appointment services for LRC 1 students. And I received feedback that parents were being told in their IEP meetings that appointment services for students with learning regression through this year weren't an option. In our last webinar, you had mentioned you were going to follow up with your team. So I was wondering if you had, if you were able to find out any further details on that.
Sure, thanks. Thanks for asking and thanks for bringing it back. I've asked the other special education directors to see if there are any situations where the IEP team determined that appointment services were warranted, but the team just couldn't figure out how to make it work. And I still come up with the no, that they've been able to find someone to deliver those services and make it happen, including transportation. I've also been told in the last month or so that there are more and more appointment services being offered. And one element that seems to make it a little easier is if parents are able to drive their student in for appointment services, and then we pay the parent mileage. We call that in lieu of transportation. We can also use pairs from that building or from another building to deliver services. So I'm still very concerned and interested if families are experiencing that they're not getting the appointment services that the team has decided. And I would continue to ask that they take that to the directors of the appropriate departments to make sure we're making good on our word.
Okay, great. We'll have families reach out to their IEP teams, and if they don't feel like they've gotten the information that they're hoping for, we'll have them reach out to the director team that's appropriate for their level. Thanks for that follow-up. I appreciate it. So with secondary students getting the option to return to in-person learning, are there any changes planned for LRC 1 secondary students with that change?
Absolutely. There are big changes coming for students and families. The return of 612 students to schools in buildings will have the opportunity for students served in special education to attend 4 days a week and have more access to in-person learning. Parents don't need to do anything to access these services except to do the daily attestations and to keep their student home if he or she is ill. We think this, we meaning special services, think this additional access to in-person learning is critical for supporting students who have mightily struggled in remote learning during this long school closure, not only in their special education classes, but also in the classes, in their general education classes as well, including access to paraprofessionals in those classes who often support their learning and their behavior. In addition to the 612 return to school, we also have kindergarten through 12th grade and LRC2 and ACT programs going to 4 full days a week starting Monday, April 19th. These programs, the LRC2 programs and ACT programs, have been in school in person since the fall, and we've stretched from 2.5 hours to 3.5 hours in late February. We have had a small number of families who have asked to return to in-person learning with this extended time in 4 full days. And we want to make sure people know we're ready and we stand at the ready to serve in-person learners. They just need to call a quick IEP meeting so that we can make sure we have all the safety procedures and transportation lined up. So I'm very excited. There's a lot more in-person learning that's going to be happening starting in the next week or so.
That's great. Just one quick point of clarification. So if that last thing you said, if you have an LRC2 student who is currently remote, but now would like to change to in person, that's when you would need to call the IEP meeting just to have that switched over.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. You got that exactly right. And it's not really an IP team meeting decision. We need to make sure that the student who's moving from remote to in-person is a solid mask wearer. And if they're not, we need to have a plan. Want to make sure that we have appropriate paraprofessional support if they need it during the school day, because if they say had a one-on-one, that person would have been assigned remote as well. It just takes us a couple of days to make sure we've got everything in order for a seamless transition.
And one more quick thing, for the LRC1 students, will they receive a specific instruction that they are able to go to the 4 full days as opposed to the standard 2 days that most general education students, or do they need to take any steps to notify that they're going to take advantage of those 4 days?
I don't believe that students or families who have an IEP already need to do anything to access the 4 full days, but it is part of the MOU and will be communicated to principals. It's not a bad idea to have case managers send that out through their Skyward Messaging Center, because parents always read messages from their teachers and they don't always read messages from me. So that's a great idea. I'll follow up.
Yeah, I think that would be great to have specific communication so that there's no confusion. Thanks for doing that. So let's see, let me look back at we kind of skipped around a little bit with my follow-up questions. So they've been given option. So my next 2 questions you've already answered, so great job there. So we'll move on to the next. Will there be an opportunity for extended school year or summer school for special services students who have had regression or insignificant or insufficient progress during this really difficult school year? And if so, what is the process for families to receive those services?
That's a great question. And we are planning for summer services right now. So I want to make a really clear distinguishing mark. We will continue to offer extended school year, often called ESY. You'll see it on the IEPs as a section for ESY, for students who qualify under the traditional and precise ESY language around recoupment, regression, or students who are on the cusp of learning something. So that is going to happen as we always have done. Before COVID, it was our plan to greatly expand services offerings in the summer. It was our ongoing plan to say we need to do more in the summer. And we are beginning to bring that plan to fruition. Additionally, for COVID impacts, we are building what is called recovery services. So recovery services is the invented word that just says students in special education have had a hard time in these long COVID school shutdowns, and remote learning was very hard. So we know we have recovering to do. So you don't have to qualify for recovery services in that same precise way as ESY, but the programs will probably be taught by the same teacher in the same place and offered at the same time, because recovery is recovery. I'd actually like to devote all of our next session together to talking about the recovery plans, but I'll give you a little teaser.
Okay.
We plan to offer something for all students, kindergarten or preschool through ACT in LRC1 and LRC2. We have a tiny number of high school students who need a credit retrieval option for a special education class, and we plan to offer that. We also are right now working to hire teachers and secure spaces for LRC2 elementary, middle, high school programs for students to have some recovery services in the summer. Also, all the therapeutic specialists, recovery services for OT, PT, speech, and vision services. We also are going to work on the how we ask. So I don't want any families to be thinking that this is the only opportunity to get recovery services from the Issaquah School District. Our long game plan is offering a wide menu of recovery services this summer, some before school and after school recovery service options for next school year, and then another wide offering of summer services the following year, so that we give ourselves ample time to give kids a chance to recover in their own time frame. I just don't want parents to feel like it's a scarcity model, and if they don't take it now, they're not going to get it. That's just simply not true. I also want to acknowledge that there are families, mine included, who feel exhausted after this school year, and they are looking forward to a summer that involves fishing and staying outside and camping and, I don't know, eating ice cream cones at McDonald's, whatever makes you happy. So I think for a lot of families, they will decide we're doing that this summer. We're not doing more school, even if it sounds great and it's all in person, because we need to recover as a family. And that's completely acceptable and fine. And we honor that family choice. So that's why I don't want parents to worry that if they don't do it this summer, that's all they get. So there'll be a wide offerings coming up, lots of communication about it. It will be kind of all over the district, so not clustered at one place, and it'll include all kids. There should be an opportunity for all kids in the ISD who have an IEP. So I'm excited about that. So let's make that our agenda topic for next time.
Absolutely. Well, that is an abundance of information. That is great. And I know the families will be excited to get more information. And now we have a teaser for next month. So that's great. Thank you again for that. Okay, so moving to our last question. Some families in the special education community feel like ISD kind of puts off it puts off evaluations or reevaluations. I think they just might not understand sort of what the process or the criteria that ISD follows regarding that. So is there specific criteria that ISD follows regarding when an evaluation or a reevaluation is warranted?
Sure. I'm going to answer this question this way this time, and if there's more follow-ups next time, we'll cover it again.
Okay.
I would expect that all building teams in every building in our district are evaluating students who are served in special education on the mandated timelines.
Okay.
And that would be a triennial, every 3 years evaluation for students already in special education. And that special education initial referrals would follow exactly the timelines and procedures that are outlined in IDEA law and our own policies. So that's through the guidance team. However, if a parent has a question about this topic, say they went to a meeting and it didn't result in a special education referral, or they went to an IEP meeting and wanted to do another or bring forward their triennial evaluation, the person to ask the questions of would be the school psychologist. Our school psychologists are the gatekeepers of timelines and procedures, and they should be able to clearly define the process, the timeline, and student-specific questions. If that doesn't answer the question, the next step might be to ask the specific special education director, because I want parents to have the information that they need, including when the answer is, we don't agree that a special education evaluation is warranted. But I don't want parents to be sitting on that feeling like they don't understand that answer. I expect that everyone on my team is accurately and precisely following the mandated timelines and expectations. And so your first question as a parent would be the school psychologist. Your next question would be to the special ed director. Does that answer your question?
It does. The other place, of course, that people can find a lot of procedure is that famous purple book, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. The purple booklet that every family should get during their annual IEP meeting is the source of all of those compliance-like questions. It's teeny tiny print and easy to put on the back of your shelf, but that's where you'll find it. You'll also find the same links to that information on like my email. The bottom underneath my email says, click here if you have procedural questions. Most of the directors and special education teachers have the same. So you're looking for that purple booklet that everyone gets in their IEP meetings to answer your procedural questions.
And of course, if families have lost it or misplaced it, then it's available. It could be, you can get a new copy from anybody on your IEP team, and from those links that you mentioned. And it's also available in multiple languages, from what I understand. So if there are language barriers with English, then it's available for other languages as well, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. We have lots.
Excellent. Well, hopefully that points some families, if they're having misunderstandings or frustrations, then that gives them people to speak to and also a place to look for some assistance. So thanks for that detail. So that's everything that I have for today. I appreciate the exciting changes that are happening, and we appreciate the hard work that all of the administration and the teachers and the staff is putting forward with lots more work to go, it sounds like. So thank you for your time and your team's time. And thank you all in our audience for joining us. We hope that the information provided has been helpful. If you would like to suggest questions for future webinars or feedback on anything in our webinars, please send an email to special-education@issaquahptsa.org. Again, I also invite you to join our Facebook group. You can find that by searching Issaquah Special Education PTSA Committee. It's a helpful community where we seek to find ways to support and learn from each other. So thanks again, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much. See you then.